Yeah, so here we go again. I believe this is the first time I'm doing this, but might as well because this format is not fixed. Um, this is an addendum to session 108, I believe it was. Me earlier today after shopping. Um, I was in fact correct. The not obeying rules for 2.5 days straight. Well, not taking them as strictly, still obeying more than the regular person, I guess. And this is not an admission of guilt; it's purely hypothetical, of course. Um, that was a big aspect of me feeling real down because for the past um 3 hours almost, pretty close to 3 hours, yeah, I'd driven she I'd driven about 100k through town to various places I know just to help my memory, jog my memory with roads and speed limits and where you aren't allowed to turn left and um I did have destinations in mind, and I did stop at all those destinations. Even got out of the car at most of them, so I believe it's legal. I went back to the rule following, at least in traffic, and I think I like this better. And the red tape stuff is still an issue. Um, I think for now I'll handle it the way that I obey the rules no matter what, unless there is red tape involved. If there's red tape involved for me, so other people necessary for me obeying the rules, um, in those cases, I might be a bit more flexible or try to be more flexible because red tape's just too much for me, I guess. But I reckon I'll manage. It was real satisfying driving 30 in the 30 limit, man. It's horrible if you do like 37, 40. Some people do even more. I mean, doing that in like construction 30 limits, you get overtaken. It's fucking crazy, you know. And here I go swearing the second time, but I luckily don't care for monetization on YouTube, so yay, because I am not monetized. This is not for profit operations. It's just my therapy replacement. Yeah, but I am really satisfied. Um, these 3 hours, I guess it was. Wow, aren't quite as much as I spent hypothetically not following the rules to the letter. But it still feels so good, man. Like I got the road for myself because the people who drive by their car speedometer, which shows too much speed, they're behind me, and the people who don't care for the speed limit are in front of me. So I got a load of air all around me, and I usually ain't got no one in my dead angles, which is absolutely lovely, man. Like, mwah. That's the moment you go to where you can get green waves with traffic lights, of course. In central town, well, central, it's not really central, but within the S-Bahn ring, within the suburban rail ring, mm, there was some interesting situations, I guess I'd call it, where, for example, in front of a light that just turned red, a bike pulled right in front of me from the lane next to me, and a few lights later, we were pulled up parallel. So I wound down the window and told him, "Oi, I'm in a metal box. You're not. Um, I don't want to. I don't want to kill you, you know. But please don't cut people off right in front of the lights. It's really not cool." And he's saying, "Oh yeah, right." And then I wished him a nice evening. I believe his significant other, or whatever one might call it, his partner, on the back, they wear of the other sex. Um, by his, I implied their sex. Sorry for that. Um, I believe they kind of asked them to slow a bit after, because I did see them again later on. They did overtake me going over the speed limit, but at least for a while, they weren't doing the crazy shit with pulling in front of traffic lights and pulling in front of cars. Because to be fair, on two wheels without a metal box around you, that's kind of suicidal. And with a metal box around you, it's just being a dick and still risking your property and other people's. So, man. But I mean, on a bike, you ain't got nothing to cover your ass, you know. You ain't got a metal box. And they weren't even wearing leathers or so. They were just casual dressed. Mm. So I believe they might have taken it to heart. Another thing I did now again, that I was obedient to the rules 100% to the letter, well, to my best capability. If there's conflicts in signage, I still have to choose which signage to follow. I even got to tell a few people their lights weren't working, which is lovely. Like, I really like that. Admittedly, I did do that yesterday, but I did in a way which I usually wouldn't, which means I pulled into the bus lane to be parallel to them. They had their window open and told them it was an Uber. But in that case, I'd probably still do it again, because I was too far away to just get out and walk and tell them at the lights, that is, without becoming a hindrance to traffic myself. And they were missing 2 brake lights, which is like very close to no brake lights, having only 1, that is. As 1 too little for the law, and as 1 away from none. And in that case, I believe I might still break the rules and go into a bus lane. Well, bend the rules, I guess. It's not breaking, but still, it's not cool. But I don't think I'd like go in a bus lane unless I have to avoid an obstacle or so anymore. Just because, man. I mean, today I'd done it thrice. Very centre of town, where the tourist sites are. But that was for obstacles in front of me, which were people who were waiting to turn left. In which case, I believe it's semi-legal. Or fully legal even, who knows. I'm not a lawyer. Yeah, but that feel good. And before I'd done that, I brought out most of my trash. Did a bit of vacuuming. That's like solid, man. I mean, I'm not coming home to a tidy place, but it could be worse. It was worse, so meh. I had approximately 30 folded milk cartons. Fuck, 30? Yeah, it was 25, 30 folded milk cartons. I have the most efficient way of folding them, so they only took the remnants of my recycling bin bag once I'd taken it out of the bin, because it's double the size the bin is, by design. My design, that is. That worked out quite nicely. I also continued to wire up some more of them LEDs, this time in series, 3 of them, but I haven't tested them because I've run out of sockets. I might actually have a socket line around somewhere, in which case I can try. Just because if I can run them in series, it's easier, it's less work. And yeah, okay, if one fail, they all fail, but what are LEDs going to fail? I mean, I'm not worried about that. Still drinking the same dinner in the bottle. Less than an hour away from midnight. It's 14 past 11 in the PM. But man, that's a relief. Like the past few days, if I had broken the rule, of course, hypothetically, I'd have tried to match my pace to the cars behind me so they wouldn't have to wait for me. Today I just didn't give a shit no more. Like now, if the speed limit's 30, I don't care how far you are up my arse. I'm gonna drive 30, not faster. 5% or free within settlements, but I'm no faster than 33 to my best measurement, and I'm not going to speed up just because you're sitting up my arse. That was such a relief, man. Like, I'm really happy I've done it again. And I'm going to stick to the rules of the road as long as it don't involve other people. Like interaction with other people. The road always involve other people, but at least not interacting, I guess. Just to be clear, if I had hypothetically sped and so on, I'd always make sure I'm safe anyways. And I'd still use my indicator. It's not like some of these twats who go 20 over the speed limit and change lanes as they please. I'm eating some Giotto sweets here. I got a pack earlier. It's not cheap. think a ball translates to like 10 cents or so. Yeah, that makes roughly sense. This was 10 euro cents. A third of a cigarette gone. Yeah, I'm not financially responsible, man. I got to grow up someday. I wouldn't mind if that day came before I have an income. My own hair, lovely. I'm still sweating, and that's even though the outside temperature is 14 degrees centigrade. It's just the relative humidity is, I believe, fairly high. I haven't actually looked what it is, but it feels high. Not high in the way of baked, but high in the sense of humid. I really like the fact that, well, it's not that I like it. I think it's beneficial to society. There we go. Say it that way. That one can now carry and smoke cannabis. The only problem for me is it's not regulated. Well, it's not properly resolved on driving. So for now, I'm not smoking much. Barely at all. I smoked once since 1st of April, just to celebrate, and haven't touched the stuff since. Perhaps if my plants succeed, I'll start baking. Who knows? Just because now it's legal, might as well. It's a fun experiment. That being said, I killed the one plant already. Well, one didn't sprout. One I killed, and now the second one I have hopefully sprouted and is growing, hopefully, beneath the soil. I set them to sprout in water before soil, but after 3 days they start to sprout, and then I'll put them in the dirt facing down, facing downward with the root of all evil. Man, this is satisfying. I probably smoked a lot again today, a lot more than usual, just because I've driven a solid 5 hours. 5 hours of town traffic voluntarily on the weekend. Admittedly, freeware during low traffic hours, but still. Might have only been 4. I might have only done one before shopping. Just made sure I found some parking for another day. I'll need it. Coming up in 13 days. But I like to be prepared, you know. When I'm in that area, where I'll have to park in 13 days' time, I'll make sure to look every now and then how the parking situation is. So I'll be prepared when the time comes. It's going to cost me €2 an hour. It's for the T-joint, which is reopening, luckily. Originally it was said to reopen on the 2nd of April, then the 2nd of May. Now it's officially the 13th of May with a loyal customers early celebration on the 11th, which I happen to be one of. Ooh, magic. Magic. There's just some pop I got in the supermarket, my car drink at the time. I barely ever drink any of it just because while driving I don't think about perhaps drinking something unless I really end up sitting in traffic forever. Which I avoid at all cost. Surprise. I'd rather take a 10-minute detour than sit in traffic for 5 minutes. I like driving in my car. It's not quite like a Jaguar, but it's probably got more torque. The next thing is I'll have to clean up some of the contacts for the side indicator repeaters. They're currently both working, but the contacts on the left one are dodgy. Got a contact cleaner, so I guess maybe tomorrow, hopefully, fingers crossed, down-gedrückt. I'll clean up them contacts and demoisturize the repeater housing, and then perhaps silicon it up so it's moisture proof, you know. Don't cost me nothing. I got the silicon, and then I'll put the rubber plug from the wiring harness with the bulb back on with some silicon grease, and that way no moisture should be able to get in no matter what. That sounded like a fun idea to try, and once I've done that, next step is making sure the wiring harness for the diesel particulate pressure differential sensor, mouthful, that the wiring harness for that don't have a load of corroded connectors, because it likely do. If it don't, it got a cable breakage somewhere. But I can look at both things at the same time. Got a multimeter right here in the car. Surprise. Boy Scout, I guess. Can check for continuity, resistance, etc. And that would be something nice, you know. Yeah, I feel like I've had a lot of need to talk. To be fair, I did sit down on Wednesday and talk, but I don't think that's for public consumption. I was a bit in the moment, so I'm not going to upload that, which is a first, but there's a first for everything, just as this is the first addendum. Surprise. And I just noticed my mic was facing down the entire time. I'm hoping it's close enough to omnidirectional that you can still hear me. If not, potluck. Then this is the first silent addendum, which I very much so hope it's not. Like, whew. Tomorrow I might actually take the camera to film club, because while a focus group is meeting, I'm unlocking the space most likely. I can capture a bit cinematic shots of some brick and so on close up. My logic being the dying of the light by Thomas Dillon being potentially interpreted as everything ends, and also as better create something while you can. And stones tend to outlive us humans, so that's the poetic aspect of poetry film for uni. Oh no. But that'll work out, which means either tonight or tomorrow morning I might want to record the voiceover, just because I can, and then I'll have something to cut to. Then again, I probably haven't even got the storage capacity at this time for starting that project, as I still have to clean up after working title Smoke and Mirrors. I have, 300,000 still images, PNG and EXR sequences saved on drives, and it's like 11 terabytes total. And most of those I can recreate, it'll just take compute, but the project's done. If I do a new project, I'm gonna want new material, because otherwise my project will all look the same. So I guess I'll delete most of the working files and just keep some still frames for posters or so. For the trailer, I'd want to use the actual thing that ended up, so don't need the working files for that either. And it's just an idea of not becoming too much a hoarder, because I kind of am, I guess. Just a wee data hoarder. I mean, good news, I guess I can't physically hoard much, because I live in a 32 square meter flat. A 16th of which is just desktop, a 16th of which is just bed. So, nah. I really ought to clean up my desk. Like, I got my PC space on the right hand side, where I do all my computer work. Not politically correct, but personal computer space. And on the left I got a bit of workspace, but the left tend to litter up with letters and magazines, papers, the newspapers and academic papers, whatever else I figure I need to print, and they tend to just litter that up, so I ought to clean that up sometime. Haven't actually cleaned that in like a long time, even before I had guests. That's like the one big thing I didn't want to attack. Hope I'll manage. I'll set the goal of like Wednesday or so for that, because I only got 11 milk today, and it's very humid, so I'm gonna want to probably drink 2 to go to bed to. 2 to go to bed to. Nice English language, haha. Tango Whiskey October. Tango October. Go. Tango October. Bed. Tango October October. Use all the forms of two in one sentence. Two to go to bed to. Damn. I haven't done anything about the stuff of telling people they're incompetent professionally, because I still need to sort of figure that out. I might even require some feedback from people. So I'll probably just ask people around in my life, because I can't in good faith tell them, oi, learn the language of the country you've lived in for more decades than I have. It's kind of sad that there is a need for me to tell them that. But I might have to assume they did their levels best in the first place. Oh, there we go. There we go, that's better. I might have to assume they did their levels best, because if they haven't, what are they doing? I mean, it's their job. It's what they do for approximately a quarter of their living hours, and probably about a third of their waking hours minimum, which means they might as well do the right job. So I'm gonna have to expect them to have done their best job, and that sadly does mean that I can't say it's negligence. I will have to prescribe it to incompetence, because I mean, negligence would be one thing, malice would of course be the worst assumption, but I don't think someone can intentionally pretend to be bad at language. I can't fathom it, at least. Might very well be possible, but I don't see a reason for them to. So I'm just going to have to prescribe it to negligence, because, well, I don't know, negligence don't feel fair. Just because, I mean, they do it for a living and all. They're supposed to do a good job, and I'm sure they're trying to do a good job, which means I can't even say it's negligence, it's just incompetence. Oh, I think I've done one quite a while ago, a solo therapy session on incompetence in service providers. I think that this applies here as well. I might want to rewatch my own shit. Damn. Using this light because I'm sitting in a way that does not allow me to reach my trouser pockets. Funny how the world works. I end up going back to the same things I have in the past with a similar service provider. Well, same covering organisation, not the same person. If it was people in the past, I'm not even sure, because I don't actually remember, because my memory is quite trash. I mean, long term it can be good, but to get stuff into long term memory is take forever and a day, you know. Oh man. I don't know, I think I already got so many commitments, but I also kind of want to cut a mini trailer of formerly known as Working Title Smoke and Mirrors, just so I can show it to filmmakers at the film club, Filmmakers Movie Nerds, eingetragener Verein. I think that's the first time I mentioned the club, but I don't think I'm doxing myself, because now it's big enough that, well, you can still find out who I am, but it's not like anyone cares, or any of you don't know. Presumably you all know. I wouldn't know. But if you don't know me in real life, I don't know what you're doing watching this. I'm hoping you're having a good time, because certainly you are helping me with the purpose of this, which is knowing my thoughts can be heard by people, and anyone could have heard them. Oh man, I'm looking forward to bed tonight for some reason. I guess it's because I've had a long week, even though I ain't done much today. Did a bit cleaning the flat, still haven't folded up my laundry, still all in the machine, dried and been sitting there for the best part of a week. And I did my groceries, which was predominantly milk. Only 11 litres this week though, which means it was yet again a third of the bill. I guess that's odd. Whenever I go shopping, a third of the bill is milk. Sometimes it's only a quarter, I guess. Nah. When I went shopping yesterday with a production assistant for production, well, direction assistant, but realistically was production assistant, we didn't get no milk, which means I still have some baked goods up in my flat from yesterday, which I can have for like late night snacks tonight or tomorrow morning for breakfast. If I do breakfast, I don't know if I do breakfast. Usually I don't, but now I got the stuff, so then I still got some OJ and some Coke. The liquid, not the powder. I got some Coke, a bottle of it, not the powder. I'm not that rich. I'm not rich, I'm Ben. Hi there. This is my substitute for therapy if you're new here. Oh man, yeah, I think I've averted the crisis, at least the depression crisis. I still have a bit of a by the book crisis, because now I'll have to add another category to situations, which is does it involve potential red tape and other people, which is a category I did not have before. I mean, it's not on a spreadsheet. I am a nerd, but I'm not organised enough for that, I guess. But there is a spreadsheet in my head. I mean, come on. Before I got my licence, before I even started taking lessons for driving, I got the procedure down for brake failure. And I think about it regularly while driving, and there's no reason for my brakes to fail. They're well maintained. I mean, I got new pads, what, a year ago? They're still perfectly fine. I mean, my brakes are pretty good. I've noticed on several counts today because I had to brake for pedestrians who were adults running into the road. Because welcome to this city where people are nuts. That reminds me of a short story. I'm going to have to explain it because even native speakers, if they aren't English, aren't going to get it. Which is nut, screws, washer and bolts. Nut as in nutcase, screw as in fuck, rape. Washer as in a person who does the laundry. And bolts as in runs away. It's a lot funny if you can just understand it in the first place. And it's also, coincidentally, the type of fastness my dad dealt in. Nut, screws, washer and bolts. The only problem with that for the product would be the nut being singular. And if you make the nut plural, then you don't have screws no more, then you'd have screw, because that'd be the plural, but it's the singular of the object of a fastener, machine screw. I'm actually enough into the matter that for me a screw and a bolt are both machine screws. It's just a bolt have a non-threaded section, which apparently not everyone agrees on. I think I'm repeating myself in saying this, but general tip for fasteners, you measure just the thread unless it's countersunk, in which case you measure the countersunk bit along with the thread. Anyways, hope you like this addendum. It's going to be the first one. I think I'll just name it session 108.1. Who knows? I might name the other one session 108.0 in that case. But likely I'll name this the addendum. We'll see. Addendum session 108. Who knows? I hope you are too having a good time, as am I. Stay safe. Cheerio.